for everyone to take a seat. We'll now call this meeting for March 12th, 2012 to order. For our invocation, we'll have Chief Reinhardt give our invocation, please, sir.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we just thank you tonight for everybody being here together in fellowship. We ask that you watch over the community. We thank you for your many blessings. We ask that you govern our leadership tonight, make the right decisions that we do pleasing unto you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Chief. Mr. West, next on the agenda is roll call.
Mayor Max A. Townsend.
Here.
Councilmember Andy Page.
Here.
Councilmember Johnny Cook. Council President Garland Gudger Jr.
Here.
President Pro Tem Jenny Folsom.
Here.
Councilmember Clint Hollingsworth.
Here. Please let the record reflect that Mr. Cook is at his daughter's softball tournament at the beach. We kind of,
But it got rained out?
yeah, it got rained out. Allow one person to be, each year to be gone, and this is his anyway. On into the agenda, we have a reading of the minutes from February 27th. If we would like to pass those, we'd have to suspend the rules. What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules so that we do not have to read them.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Please poll the council, Mr. West.
Councilmember Andy Page.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnny Cook. Council President Garland Gudger Jr.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Jenny Folsom.
Aye.
Councilmember Clint Hollingsworth.
Aye.
Now, at this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes from February 27th, 2012.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor of approval of these minutes, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
Mr. President, I have a few. Under Roman numeral 8, number 8, for the Water Department, a petition to request to purchase water meters from HD Supply. And also under Roman numeral 8, number 9, a request from Smith Farms for a special events alcohol license for Memorial Day weekend. And number 10, under Roman numeral 8, a request for an easement swap with W&W Development.
All three of those we'll take at the same time. That was in form of a motion, I take it?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a second to
Second.
have a second? All in favor of adding those to the agenda, please say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Wait a second for Clint to get those.
We're good.
We good?
Well, I'm ready.
All right. On into any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Having none, we'll move into reports of our standing committees. Police Committee, Councilmember Andy Page.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I was going to give a status report on Chief Culpepper tonight. I don't know if y'all know it, but he had a serious injury about 10 days ago. And about 20 minutes ago, he showed up, so I'm going to let, you can say sit down, Chief.
I need to stretch you.
Okay.
Well, thank y'all very much, and I promise it's the end of my evil Knievel career. Try to do that anymore, but I really appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers, and doing great. I'm just going to be on crutches for a while, and I'd like to compliment my staff and Chief Green and all the officers. They've done a wonderful job and kept me informed, and I feel like I've been part of the loop, so it's surely helped my recovery. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
And also, Chief Green, can you give us a report on the drug task force sting a couple of weeks ago?
From here is good?
That'd be fine.
Just very quickly, our narcotics folks, that's a combined unit, as you know, from the Sheriff's Office, the City of Hampton, the City Police Department. Recently was in the paper. We made 19 of the warrant arrests was all methamphetamine. Enough people either possessing or selling. The majority would be selling the methamphetamines. 6 of those were prescription medication that they were selling. And 3 out of the number of warrants that was served, 3 of those was a combination of all 3, or at least 2 of those. So I just want us to say, I want to be able to say thank you to the narcotics folks who would be happy to be here, but they're at work, and they work very, very long hours. They're very dedicated. Their families are without them for many, many hours, but I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to just kind of pat them on the back and let you know that we're working hard.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief. Yes, sir.
Coach, it was kind of like when Kenny came in the back room back there during a football game when one of your best players come out at halftime. Everybody thinks he's gone, then he shows up, everybody gets excited. That's kind of the way we were, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here,
Glad
Chief.
you're back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're okay. Fire Committee. Chief, do we have anything we need to talk about tonight? Okay. Sanitation Committee, Councilmember Johnny Cook is with his family tonight. Street Committee, Councilmember Clint Hollingsworth.
Rick, you don't have a bum leg or anything, do you? You good? Good. We're good. Street Department's great.
All right. Finance Committee, Councilmember Jenny Folsom.
No report.
Report from our mayor, Mayor Max A. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just remind everyone that tomorrow is a big day in the elections for Cullman County. I would remind everyone it's your duty and your right as an American citizen to get out tomorrow and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is comments from anyone that is not on the agenda or any political candidates that'd like to come forward. Please come forward. Mr. Weldon, I see you here. If you'd like to come up to the podium and give your name, and you'll have about 3 minutes. Take the full 3 minutes if you want, or 30 seconds. Either way is fine. We appreciate you being here.
Who's the timekeeper?
That's all right. You go ahead.
You gonna be
I'm
timekeeper?
timekeeper. I've got you.
Okay, give me a signal. I'm excited. This is a big crowd. Most of the time, most politicians outnumber the audience. This is one of the few times I've been where the audience is bigger. I'm Kenneth Weldon. I'm running for circuit judge. Grew up out Simcoe community, and went to Fairview, and then St. Bernard, and then law school at Alabama. And then I came back here, and I started practicing here with Ralph Bland, practiced with him quite a number of years. The biggest thing I learned from Ralph was be prepared. He was picky, and he'd take the yellow pads and he'd say, you write down every element you got to prove. And when you go in there, you check every one of them off. And that was good training, being prepared, sort of like the Boy Scouts say. Then I spent a lot of years down at People's Bank as an in-house lawyer down there, handling different kinds of stuff for them. And then I spent about the last 4 or 5 years since I left there in private practice running a title company. The reason I'm running is because I've got 6 grandkids, 2 more on the way. I got a 17-year-old, and I love this place. And I want to do what I can do as a judge to make sure it stays a good place. And not only that, that it even gets better. I think some things can be improved. I had my daughter-in-law had a sister who had a divorce pending, and she found out she was going to be, she was terminally ill. And it was a fairly simple divorce. There were no kids involved or anything. That thing dragged out and dragged out and dragged out forever. And she was laying on her deathbed waiting for it. And there was really no reason for it that I could see. Lawyers are procrastinators, and one of the ways we can make a place better here is for the judges to draw a line in the sand and say, get it done. Get it off the docket, and especially divorces and those kind of things. We may even have to work second shift to do it. Judge Riley used to do that sometimes. I've been over there trying a case at 2 o'clock in the morning because he was wanting to start another case the next day. It can be done if we just have the guts, the fortitude, and the judge to make it happen. I'll try to make that happen. The other thing is that I think I'm the most independent of the people running, or at least as independent as any of them. I don't have any relatives that are lawyers. I have not had any association with a firm for a while. So there wouldn't be any appearance that so-and-so is getting a better deal. And I'm not saying they would or anything, but you know how it is. People go to court, they're scared, and they say, oh, well, you know, he used to be practicing with those folks, or that's his relative, that's so-and-so. I don't have that situation. I don't ask for contributions. People have given a little money to me, very little. I've spent very little. I really want to prove you can have a viable campaign without spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars. It's amazing to me how much I've spent. And then when I see the signs, I'm sick of signs. Are y'all sick of signs? I am too. I want to be happy when we can clean those things up. Is my time up yet? It is. I got a lot more to say, but anyway. I got these sample ballots. There's too many for me to pass out, and I got a propaganda sheet. I'll leave those things out there, and if you're really interested and you want to look at this, I'll leave it out front for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weldon.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Is anyone else that's not on the agenda that'd like to come forward and speak? There is, I think a lot of you guys are here tonight about charter communication. We're going to let them go first on the agenda, and then we'll give a question and answer just for a little bit.
Scroll down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because they're first on the agenda.
All right. Anyone else like to come forward at this time? Having none, we'll move into our agenda, which is petitions, applications, complaints, appeals, and communications. We're going to go directly into with Mr. Skip James, Director of Government Relations with Charter Cable, to discuss upcoming changes to the channel lineup, which will be effective March 13th, 2012. Is that correct, Mr. James? Please come forward to the podium, and we'll let this be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
members of the council, mayor. I did have a conversation with the mayor and Mr. Tom Turney, and I'm here at their request. They asked me to come down here and address Charter's plans for the city's video or cable service or communication services, and that's what I'm here to do, and also discuss the removal of some of the off-air channels from Huntsville. But tomorrow morning, you should wake up and have 90 new channels to look at. We're going to have on-demand that you didn't have before, which that is where you can select movies to watch. Some of them are charged, but you have a lot of them are free. Just have to dig into it and go to the free movies, and then you can pick free movies to watch. We have the fastest internet in the nation. You'll have it up to 100 meg if you want it. Standard meg is starts at 3 up to 100 meg. So if you're a company doing business and you want faster than that, then our charter business can give you in the gigahertz range, 3 to 4 to 6 gigahertz if you need. Customer service. We have 18 call centers in the that are answer the calls from customers. We have one in Panama, we have one in Nova Scotia, and we have one in Mexico City for our Hispanic customers, and the rest of them are in the United States. The reason we have so many call centers is because we have a lot of customers, and if you had an outage in one of your streets down here, the FCC says you got to answer the phone within 30 seconds. So when you call in, you'll go through a computer, and it will ask you, and it'll direct you if you're having a phone issue, you're having an internet issue, you're having a digital issue, or you're having just regular video problems. It'll direct you to the right call center, and it'll answer. I'm sorry, you've already answered. It'll direct you to the right one. If you're having an internet issue, you'll go to probably Louisville, Kentucky. If you're having a phone problem, you'll be directed to St. Louis, and so on. So if at any time you're going through that ARU, which is directing your calls, and excuse me, and you think that you don't want to go through that, push 0 and you'll go straight to a live operator. We had to make a decision coming here. We've upgraded it, and of course we're bringing new channels, and we're going to be adding more channels in the near future, but that requires bandwidth. Bandwidth is hard to come by. And with our digital services now, you're able to get out of one channel that an off-air channel is on, which takes up 6 megahertz of bandwidth, you can get 12 or more channels out of that same bandwidth when you go to digital. Now what that does is that it allows you to get more channels instead of that one channel. So we had to make these decisions based on bandwidth. Now, we didn't do it willy-nilly because we did put a lot of research into this. We had concerns with severe weather. Obviously, you guys had a big tornado last year, and it devastated the town in some parts. So one of our prerequisites for choosing a channel, a local off-air channel out of Huntsville, because we know the proximity to Huntsville you are, even though the FCC says that you're not within that designated market area. We have to go to the FCC and have those. Now, we can add channels and pay that copyright fee and stuff to do that, but it costs extra money. We're coming in here at the same prices and offering you guys more bandwidth and faster services. So what it gets into is that we had to choose a company that had the best radar, weather radar out of Huntsville. We also had to see who was involved in the community. And we have a representative here tonight from WAFF. He's the director of newscast, or the director of news director, Mr. Adam Henning, and I'll be calling him up in just a second. But last October, they erected a new tower in the area. In Athens. They have a big new tower in Athens because it was the previous one was destroyed by a tornado. And so they put up a much stronger tower now, and they've added the latest technology in radar, Doppler radar, and it's the only one in the Huntsville area, and it's the strongest or the most powerful radar I understand in the whole state of Alabama that's instant. In other words, what you were looking at from the stations in Huntsville, the other stations, was a 5-minute delay. 5 minutes in a tornado is a lot of time. What you're seeing when you look on their Doppler radar is where it's actually at that moment, not 5 minutes ago. So when you're making a decision on what to do, the latest information 5 minutes earlier is what you want. So news reporting in the area, I tell you what, I want to let Adam come up here and talk to you about what they have to offer. Adam?
Thanks for having me. Adam Henning, News Director for WAFF, which means I basically manage the newsroom and the news coverage choices that we make. I started here in July, it'll be 3 years that I've been here. And when I started, there wasn't a ton of stuff being done by our station in Cullman. There were often questions from viewers, especially in severe weather when I started, and how come we're not getting coverage in Cullman? And my answer would typically be, you know, we do cover news stories down there, but you're not in our assigned coverage area. And then come to find out that the other stations weren't really in Birmingham paying much attention to Cullman either. And then we had the tornado that came through, not in April, but the year before, that came through Cullman, then went into Albertville. And with that, we were the only ones on the air covering what happened in Cullman as it was hitting and as it went through Albertville. And from that, we got a lot of calls from people asking for even more. And when the April 27th tornadoes came through and destroyed our 350,000 watt radar, we replaced it with a 1,000,000 watt radar, which the beam from that reaches further, obviously, almost 3 times further than the one before. It gives us real-time detection of what's on the ground and what's going on. And obviously, the things that are coming to the north almost always pass through Cullman County. So we've got a significant weather interest in our assigned market by the FCC in covering weather-wise down here. And we cover news-wise as well, because many people who live in our area live in Cullman. I mean, who work in our area live in Cullman. So we've got a reporter and photographer crew that lives down in the area now, moved back here in the last 3 months or so. And you know, every day we've got some sort of story that's directly relevant to the area, and we certainly effort to increase that by having someone here. But we run a report, you know, every day that tells us what counties or cities we haven't gotten into. And checking before I came, in the last year, there were 12 days where we didn't have anything that was directly relevant to Cullman. Obviously, there are things that are sort of relevant. Something goes on in the capital, state capital, that affects here. But 12 days over the course of the year, and we look to improve on that in the coming years. But if there are any questions about our coverage or anything like that, happy to answer.
Yeah. I'm Ron Pierce. I'm past president of the Downtown Merchants Association. I have the full bundle charter, and to me, it's a real disappointment to drop. And I'm not picking on you, because maybe I don't watch enough of Channel 48. But, you know, when you got the Blumenfest, or you got Downtown Promotions, you got Robert Reeves, you got crews down here. I've seen a lot of 31 a lot of Channel 19, you know, Cullman, besides shop local, they depend on a lot of markets outside of Cullman. And I just don't see you guys. And if you live in Cullman, it's unique. You're 45 minutes from Huntsville. You're 45 minutes from Birmingham. I was in the heart of the tornado. I was watching 6 and 19. Now, I've heard that you guys have great coverage on your satellite up in Huntsville from people I work with up there. You know, in terms of a lot of active road coverage, weather coverage, maybe you do a great job, maybe I don't watch enough of you, but to me it's a real disappointment because of seeing all these other guys down here doing a lot of advertising, promoting Cullman and a lot of activities that take place. And so I just want to let you know, if there's another way, and I've talked to some local people here, and maybe I can put an antenna up and pick up the other 2 stations. And I'm not knocking your station because probably I haven't been watching enough of it, but I'm just disappointed that you didn't pick up at least 48, maybe 19. I mean, that's CBS versus 48 versus 31. You know, Channel 6 is a great channel, 3340 is good, but I just think you're making a mistake. And if I can't get what I want, I'll have to change from the charter bundle, and I'm happy with you guys so far. So just to let you know that, that's all. I'll leave that to you. So.
Well, I'll leave that to you, because the other one's coming off with the winner.
I suspect Adam will go back and, after you've pointed out that some other stations are down here, and probably put a bug in the GM's ear about that. So. One other thing, before I start addressing questions, is that we have gone through the town and upgraded the cable. Now, when I say upgraded the cable, that means we brought fiber in, new fiber, and we have shortened the cascades on the amplifiers, so you've got less electrical issues out there. And when you have an issue, it'll be in one little area as opposed to the whole town being out. I think it's almost completed. We have a redundancy ring around the state, or we're going to have shortly. They're supposed to be finished this spring if it's not already. Whereas if the cable or tornado goes through one area and knocks the fiber out, then it will go the other way and come in. So we have a redundant fiber ring to keep you on. Now that's of course if power poles are still up. If power goes out, we have standby power supplies that will keep it going 2 to 3 hours. Anything past that, if the power company can't get it fixed by then we have to wait until the power company does their work on the pole, then they'll let us on it to do it. So if tomorrow morning you wake up and you turn your TVs on and you have any issues, that issue more than likely is going to be from the pole or the pedestal on the street into your house. So what we need to do is call 1-800 or 1888 get charter and report it. If they're not out tomorrow, they'll be out the next day. But also, I would like for anybody here that has an issue to put on this FCC questionnaire that Tom has put out. I want you to put your address and your phone number on your name so that we can follow up personally with you and get your issues taken care of.
Will these 90 channels that you're talking about, Skip, will they automatically come online?
Turn on tomorrow?
They will if you're subscribed to that specific tier, like HD. If you're not on HD, well, I think HD will be the first thing in the morning. This will be the first time you had HD channels, from what I understand. Is that correct?
I think so.
Okay. I'll answer questions in just a second, sir. So if you're on a basic tier, a lot of it's going to be on the digital tier. If you have digital cable, those will automatically come on. Or if you're on digital tier, of course you'll have to call in, or they'll be calling you to see if you want to upgrade to HD. If you have to take an HD TV, a lot of people already have those, and an HD box, Charter HD box. You just pay for the box. You're not charged for the HD channels. I think the boxes, don't quote me, but I think it's around $6. As opposed, and that replaces your other box that you've got in there. Okay, I guess I'm ready to start answering questions. Sir, you had a question?
I'd like to expand on what this gentleman said. I know speaking to myself and all the people that I know here, Birmingham to us is a last resort. Nobody wants to deal with the traffic down there. No one wants to shop down there. Our advertisements are on the TV. Huntsville advertises Huntsville. It's much handier for us, and it's a tremendous inconvenience to be missing those ads and watching what Birmingham has when we're not going to go there. The last resort emergency, we might run down there because of a doctor's appointment with a specialist. Nobody is going to go to Birmingham unless they absolutely have to. That's like going to a different world. That's all I got to say.
Yes, sir. If I may answer that, the FCC has designated market areas, and they dictate to us that Cullman, Alabama is in the Birmingham marketing area. We can't control that. We don't have to put on a channel out of Huntsville, but we're doing that. We selected one, and the best one that we could pick, we thought, because of the news coverage, and I'm sure it's going to get better, but mainly the radar. The radar is instant. And if you're concerned about a tornado, that's why we chose that channel. Now, but the FCC dictates the designated market areas. And as I explained earlier, you've got so much bandwidth to work with, 860 megahertz. And if each one of these channels is taking up 6 megahertz where we can put 12 or more channels in that same space, then we have to make a business decision and not pay those copyright fees, but add more channels that, a lot of them are duplicated. I didn't mention the blackout issue. If you're watching an NBC or CBS or whatever in Huntsville, and they got a channel in Birmingham, they're going to declare blackout, which means this channel coming out of Huntsville is going to go blank, and then you have to turn to the Birmingham station to watch it. It's a duplication of programming in that respect. So, I mean, it would be a waste of resources to do that. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I moved here in 1979, and from the time we moved here, we had Birmingham and Huntsville stations. All of a sudden, you guys come in and we're eliminated. We don't have a choice.
Yes, ma'am. We're coming in, yes. Windjammer decided, rather than upgrade the system to a big city system like you guys are going to have tomorrow morning when you wake up, as far as the channels and stuff and the internet and all that goes, you're going to have the same as Birmingham, Montgomery, or New York City. You're going to have the same stuff available to you, even faster in the internet aspect of it. And we have to take we're adding 90 channels, but we're taking off these small number 4 or 5 off-air channels to make room for some of that stuff. Yes, sir.
Real quick, sir, if you don't mind, we're going to take 5 more minutes. Whatever we get through in 5 minutes, we'll have to cut off. We still have a full agenda, so we're going to take 5 more minutes, Mr. James. Please go ahead.
A while ago, you mentioned that it takes 30 seconds to get through to you. Wrong. You hadn't called your station or called your surrounding phones or whoever, because you ain't going to call and get somebody in 30 seconds if you have a problem. The next issue that you're talking about, the money it costs to provide, I'm going to say Channel 19. Okay, Channel 19, I understand that it costs you money to put that channel on. 2 weeks ago when we had the storm come through, my wife specifically watched Channel 19, storm was all over it. Channel 48 wasn't even mentioned. Okay, next issue is how much is a TV channel worth when it comes to lives in this town? We had, when this thing come through Cullman, there were 2 people in this county killed. 2 people. It could have been hundreds. But they were prepared, they were listening, and it was coming from Channel 19. We don't get nothing. Birmingham don't even tell us nothing. WH or 48, if you live up in Tennessee in that area, hey, they're gonna cover you. But they don't come down here. But y'all come in here, the people in this community is what pays your bills and keeps you here. But y'all need to look at how much is our lives worth to y'all. I mean, I'm sorry, you know, and if it wasn't for Channel 19 News, they would have been more than 2 lives taken in this county.
Century Cable didn't have an issue with it, Delphi didn't have an issue with it, Hammer didn't have an issue with it. Why do you have an issue with it?
I'm
Are
sorry.
you being penalized by the FCC for carrying the Huntsville station?
You're not penalized, no, sir.
It's a bandwidth, it's how many can you get in there? It's a money issue.
It's about money.
Get rid of some of that junk, them shopping channels and all that. We're talking about lives. We're not talking about shopping. We're talking about lives, man.
I understand, sir. I
Well,
appreciate,
okay, if you're concerned about
appreciate-
lives instead of money, do something about it.
I appreciate you being candid with us about that.
And you go back and revisit that with the company, because it obviously is a problem.
Well, you're really only talking about 3 networks, you know, 31, 19, and 48 is the only ones that really cover any local news. 3 channels.
And when there's
Y'all can't give up the bandwidth for 3
we don't
channels.
hear anything from Birmingham.
I go to watch Channel 19, and it's in the 2000 soccer championship, or something like that.
What would you guys do if everybody dropped the cable? Take it out, right?
You can see it, relevant.
Well,
People need to go back to an antenna
we,
and
yeah,
forget about you guys.
that's the choice you
Let
have,
me just
sir.
say, I work for utilities. When the tornado hit last day, I was at work. They just said, "You need to leave." But it's good for my family to be able to. We never lost phone service at that time. I just recently changed when we lost full package with phone. Since then, I've not had phone service for probably 3 or 4 days. They've been out there working on it, trying to correct the issue. But, you know, it's like they say, we're covered out of Huntsville weather office. And so those warnings come out of Huntsville. We're in a unique place. We're able to, with an antenna, to pick up Huntsville and Birmingham. And you say it's an issue of bandwidth. Yeah, that's right, it is. But y'all chose to drop 2 channels to increase your bandwidth to, and really, it's digital stuff, you know, so that's something you're trying to sell. I'm kind of like them. Drop some of that stuff, take a survey, you know, ask people out there what they watch. There's some stuff on there I don't care about, it's ever on there or not. Yeah, I'd rather have the 2 other stations.
I know. And, sir, I have done surveys before, and it proved the work was good, because what happened is that the people here are concerned about these channels. The people who are not here are not concerned about it. I mean, some are, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody, some are, but usually the younger generation, they're walking around with iPods and stuff on their hips. It beeps and says weather radar, and they can switch to it, you know, so they don't care. But the older, more mature population does, because that's what they know, that's how they get along. And we didn't have to carry 1 station out of Huntsville, but we chose to, and we made this decision to go with WAFF.
Guys, we're gonna have 1 question and that's it.
Let me just ask you one thing. What do you need? Do you need a petition from so many people from Cullman and say, hey, how about picking up 2? Would that even make a difference, or does it not?
Just lose 30% of the subscribers.
What if we wanted to give you a petition saying, could you please remove X, Y, Z to make room?
Well, I mean, anybody can do a petition they want to, and certainly we'll look at it, but I can't guarantee you because it's,
Can you cut mine off tomorrow?
sorry.
Can you cut mine off tomorrow and make the phone call? The bundle's gone, okay? I don't mean to be ugly, but I don't think you came here not to listen, you came here to tell us what you're gonna do, and that's the deal. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on you, because I know you got to report to whoever, and 48 is probably a good channel, and I'm
Ms. Elaine Fuller, how about that you be the last question for us? Is that okay?
What I wanted to point out when you were talking about having a local reporter here was Jason Simpson was on air with James Spann when our tornado came through. And he's from Holly Pond. He's a local boy and knows everything about this county. And he has gone to Channel 19 in Huntsville. That's who I want to see when I have severe weather. Our weather warnings are issued from the Huntsville Weather Service. If Birmingham has a storm that's going through Shelby County, they cut away from us and they go south. If there's a storm in Cullman, Jason Simpson's covering it now, and Channel 48, like they said before, going to Tennessee. The last storm, the big storm that came through, Channel 19 was on the air. Channel 48 was unfortunate because I switched back and forth. The only time I'm in control of the remote in my house is when there's weather, and I'm looking back and forth. But I also want to point out that at the Cullman Air Show, which was last May, Jason Simpson came up from Channel 3340 and stayed on the air, did the weather from the air show. He stayed on the air about 30 minutes. James Spann has been up to our schools and been in our schools teaching the weather. He's been all over, and he trained Jason Simpson, and Jason is going to do the same thing in Huntsville. So what I'm concerned about is I want to see good weather coverage from all three Huntsville stations. We are in that National Weather Service market area, and we have to get those warnings from that weather service. And Birmingham might be covering us, they might not. But what's important to these citizens, everybody that's here, is that we have that programming, and we have a choice. We can watch Gary Dobbs, who was injured in the tornado. We can watch Brad Travis. We can watch Jason Simpson. But we want a choice. And I'm with them. Drop some of these shopping channels and some of these old movie channels and give us what we're asking for, which is good weather coverage and good programming.
The last person we're going to allow to speak is Tom Charney with Risk Management for the City of Cullman that handles the franchise for the city.
I've gotten a lot of your questionnaires back. Some are lacking telephone numbers and names. If you would like to put your name and number on your questionnaire, I'll be glad to take it. If you want to take some questionnaires with you, address your concerns on the questionnaires, I'll be glad to get those. You can bring them to my office here at City Hall. I'll forward them to Mr. James so Mr. James can address your concerns through these questionnaires. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is that okay with you to have those questionnaires turned back in the City Hall?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then, Mr. James, I believe you've heard pretty loud and clear from the citizens that they're wanting more weather coverage from the Huntsville station anyway. And we would appreciate you taking that back to the powers that be above you to express our concerns, if that's okay with you.
I will be.
Thank you for doing that, and I appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a lot, everyone has more questions, but
5 seconds.
we've got 25 on here.
5 seconds.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Okay? This is what I want to leave you with. Right here. I want to
4,
leave you with this right
3, 2.
Yep. You see this tornado? You can't see it.
Yeah, we saw
We
it.
see,
That right there, no, that wasn't on YouTube, buddy, that was in my front door. That was on my YouTube. So that right there is what we watched. That's worth more to save lives from that right there. I'm sorry.
Mr. James, I know this is a tough crowd, but they do have legitimate concerns, and so we appreciate you coming and facing our concerns. And also, is it Mr. Andrew, is that correct?
Yes.
Andy?
Adam.
Adam, I apologize. I heard A, and that was it. Thank you for being here, and we do appreciate what you do coverage here. Thank you. Both of you. Yeah. I've been to a lot of city council meetings, and the rest of this stuff is pretty boring, so if you feel like you need to leave, it's not rude. I totally understand. So please, if you'd like to leave, you're able to at this point anyway.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a good turn.
It was a good turnout.
See you, Ron.
Want to do something about it? Yeah.
Of all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to finish up with our meeting at this point.
Okay. Second. Oh, yeah.
Bye, Brad. See you, buddy. All right, that covers number one. Let's hope we don't go that long on each one.
Hope these others move fast.
That's right. Number two, Mr. Rick Henry from the Street Department has a request to purchase industrial container from Decatur Containers in the budgeted amount of $3,025 to create a storm shelter for his employees. Mr. Henry, is that correct? Storm shelter?
I move we approve this request.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on discussion. I just want to hear a little bit about it. How many people will it fit in there? Do you know?
We're estimating right now about 40.
Where are you going to place it? Right next to the office?
Well, we're going to put it near the office, so probably city owned. We can work all that out, yeah.
I bet you'll be able to.
Place for it there.
All right. Any further discussion? Having none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That is requested and granted. Number three is a request from the Water and Sewer Superintendent, Mr. Chris Freeman, to go out to bids for on a core drilling machine in the estimated budgeted amount of $5,000. What's the pleasure of us going out to bid?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? That has also been granted. Number four is a request from Mr. Thomas Barnes to rezone his property located at 604 6th Street Southwest.
This goes to the
And we need to
planning.
refer that to Planning Commission, is that correct? All right. Mr. Fulmer? All right. So no action taken tonight. Next is a request from Mr. Joshua Dyer to annex his property located on Lake George at 155 County Road 1313 into the city limits. Also, that's going to the Planning Commission.
Right.
Number six is a request from Ms. Tanya Hall, Director of Ms. Cullman Area Pageant, to announce her platform and goals for Ms. Cullman area. Is she here? So we will wait and hopefully listen to her at the next meeting. Number seven, a request from Mr. Tim Butts to annex the subdivision located at County Road 1562 into the city limits of Cullman. That's also Planning Commission, is that correct, Mr. Foreman? All right, number eight, which is we've added into the agenda. We have something?
No, I just want to say that's what I conferred with Roy, and Roy said that was the procedure.
Is that,
Do you want to tell him a little bit about it, Roy?
Refer to the planning.
He requested this a couple of years ago, went through all the process. Somehow it kind of got lost in the shuffle. He's now re-requested it, so we need to start over again though with advertising and stuff like that.
okay. So it's coming to you, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? All right, buddy, thank you. Number eight, which we added to the agenda, is a request from Mr. Chris Freeman to purchase water meters from HD Supply. Is that correct, Mr. Freeman?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's the pleasure of the council on this request?
Move we approve the request.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion would be, is this just to go out to bid, or I guess this is for HD Supply? What is the amount up to, or is there a limit?
It's gonna be, between $5,000 and $10,000.
Okay, is this budgeted fund? It is? All right, please note that it's budgeted funds up to $10,000. Is that also added to the request, the motion that was made? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that was added and seconded, Mr. Clint?
You got it.
All right. Having said that, what is the pleasure of the council? If all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Number 9 is a request from Mr. Roger Turner for a special event alcohol license. This was previously tabled. So, Mr. Roy, do I need to take this off the table first for us to
Has it been to the alcohol review?
move this to ARC, or how do we do that to move it to ARC?
Yes, it's been to ARC, and it has been approved by ARC pending them meeting all of city ordinances and requirements by the chief building inspector, the police chief, and the fire chief.
Do I get thumbs
Okay,
up from
so
the
we're
chief,
taking
and
it off the
Mr.
table?
Foreman?
It's still gonna be in the process. That's, basically, they've approved it contingent on him meeting those requirements. But he wants to get that letter, and we'll go ahead and make sure that the state's gonna allow him to get the license, as he's working through the process.
Has he gotten an alcohol license so far up to this date, or has it been to the ARC and been approved?
It's been to the ARC, it's been approved with those requirements, just like he had requirements for Oktoberfest, certain things with the cups and the different things like that. And it's gonna be the same way with this one. He'll be passed contingent him meeting the requirements. Basically, he will not get the city license if he doesn't conform to everything that Rick and Chief and the city ordinances.
All right, so this will
Okay.
come back to ARC board to make sure the contingent requirements have been met. Is that correct?
Okay,
Tomorrow.
so we can bring it off the table and approve it
Pending
pending
approval.
his passing all of your requirements, subject to building, fire, and police
Rick, tell me
requirements.
exactly how you would word that for me.
suggest that you wait until the comments from the departments are returned to you to use those comments. Put it back on the table.
Okay. We're going to go forward right now, leaving this on the table then based on contingent requirements from Chief, and Rick. Once you get those requirements, if you would immediately turn that into Wes, then we'll act on that at that time, if that's all right.
One thing, Wes, is this gonna affect him getting a state license? Is that
That's the reason I was trying to go ahead and do
Get
it,
it
because
out.
this will affect him with the state process. If we don't, the letter's not giving him the license, it's just letting him get his state
To the
license.
state, so you gotta make an application to the state, just like you.
Yeah,
anybody else
could
would
take
do
a long
for
time.
certain Amount of days.
I think I understand the confusion. There's two different things going
I
on.
would approve it subject.
The letter's what we're wanting to get approved right now.
There's two different things going on, and I think the one that was on the table was a permit for the event that he wanted to do. That's what you had tabled, and the zoning board was looking at that, if you recall. I think the alcohol license may be a separate issue, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
Let him go ahead with the state process of approval. I can see that.
It still doesn't have a permit.
It takes a long
for the
time.
event, That's what it satisfies fire and police.
Basically, I'll hold it just like I did all the Oktoberfest special events,
Mhm.
and I won't issue the license until I'm confirmed with Rick and both the chiefs that they've met all the requirements
Okay.
before
Now,
the license issued.
so was this, from what we were just listening to, was this on the table for the alcohol license
Well,
currently?
it was, but y'all added it to the agenda at the beginning, so it's back on right now. You can either
Take it
deny
off
it,
the
Right.
approve it, or table it again.
Mr. Roy, just to make sure there's no misunderstandings, are you correct and legally, are we doing the right thing?
Y'all can approve it subject to meeting the requirements of the.
Chief, and building inspector.
I would
Okay.
put that in the form of a motion then.
All right, we have that.
Oh, wait,
form
do
of-
we have to take it off the table first, or is it just?
We placed it
it's
on,
the-
so we're
okay.
good. So it's on the agenda, so we're able to take action, and we have a motion on the table to
Second.
approve that, subject to
Those
the
stipulations.
contingent requirements from the building inspector and chief. And having said that, we have a motion and a second from Mr. Page, is that correct? Any further discussion at this time? The only thing I'd like to say is the actual event is still at the zoning board, is that correct? This is just, we're dealing with it right now, just the alcohol license, not the actual event.
The zoning board requirements were that he satisfied the comments by the fire department, the police department, the fire department. We will then return those recommendations to you
For the event.
for the event.
So,
Okay.
and I want to make sure, again, we're clarifying, this is just for the alcohol license, not for the
So
event,
you can
correct?
Go ahead
All
with
right.
the state process.
Have a motion, we have a second, no further discussion, I assume? Having said that, all in favor of approving the alcohol license for Mr. Roger Turner for this particular special event, subject to the contingent requirements, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Number 10, that was added to the agenda tonight, was a request for an easement swap with WW Development. And I've actually got that sheet of paper here, which is stating, please accept a request on behalf of W&W Development Company to abandon a portion of 2 utility easements in consideration for another easement conveying to the city of Cullman, a new easement and requested by the sewer department. So, Mr. Freeman, you're fine with this? You've looked at this?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have, and
Goes
we're
to
going to
planning.
request this go to the planning commission. That's correct. Thank y'all for that. So making sure we're sending, so there's no action taken. We might need a new chair, but besides that. On into the agenda, resolutions, ordinance, orders, and other business. Number one is a resolution to award bid for a front-loading garbage truck to the lowest responsible bidder at Ingram Equipment in Pelham, Alabama. And that would be a total of $215,285. Is that correct, Mr. Larry? All right.
I'll make a motion, we adopt this resolution.
Motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's been approved. Number two is Resolution 2012-59 to award bid for a video inspection camera, a lateral inspection camera, pole camera for a 3-year warranty to the lowest responsible bidder, Sansom Equipment Company out of Birmingham, Alabama, at the total cost of $122,305. And that's for the sewer department. Well, it has a 3-year warranty, it says, Mr. Freeman? Yes, sir. And it's desperately needed from what I saw this past week, anyway.
I move we approve this request.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution's been adopted. Number three is a resolution to award bid for a trailer with mounted 8-inch pump to the lowest responsible bidder of Hydro Services of Warrior, Alabama, in the amount of $64,565 for the sewer department also. What is the pleasure of the council?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion to adopt and a second. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Number four is a resolution to award bid for a black double-wall plastic pipe to the lowest responsible bidder, Harvey Culvert Company, Incorporated of Cleveland, Alabama, in the lowest bid of $18,933.98. And this is for the street department.
Make a motion, we adopt this resolution.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Has also been adopted. Resolution number 5 on the agenda, 2012-62, is a restated bylaws of the Cullman Regional Airport Board. Mayor, you're familiar with that? You're on that board?
Yes.
You're familiar, correct? What's the pleasure of the council on this resolution?
I move we approve the request.
We have a motion to adopt this resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Tell Chief to go ahead.
Chief, you can go ahead,
You can
buddy.
be
That's all right,
excused.
yeah. Yeah, so you better go. You'll be hobbling home.
Bye.
Chief, it's good seeing you.
Yes,
Yes,
great
sir,
to
I'm
see
glad
you.
you're better. We got a motion second voted on that, didn't we, Wes? Okay. It's number 5. Number 6 on the agenda, 2012-63 is a lease with the Cullman City Parks and Recreation Board. It's the pleasure of the council in adopting this resolution.
Make a motion, we adopt this resolution.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion?
This is for a special event on April 27th.
Say,
Roy, there was one thing, John, I think he had talked to ABC today, and he was asking if we could amend it to 1 year. Is there a problem in doing that? That was, it's at 60 days right now, correct?
Larry, any thoughts from you?
I'm fine with
Roy? Council? So I guess
For
we'll amend the
special event.
motion.
I'll amend the motion to include it up to 1 year.
And the second, do we have a second?
Second.
And we amended the second. Now we're able to vote. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries, and that also allows up to 1 year instead of 60 days. Number 7 is an ordinance. This is the second reading, so we can take action to annex Dale Glover's property located at 168 County Road 1435 into the city limits of Cullman at his request. This came back with a favorable recommendation. Is that correct, Mr. Foreman?
There's some upgrades and repairs.
Thank you. So what is the pleasure of the council on this ordinance?
Motion to approve, subject to
Upgrade.
the upgrade.
Upgrades.
Okay, and I'll second.
I have a motion to subject to upgrades. Then we-
Those are in progress, and you've passed an ordinance recently that details that. So this is actually a conditional annexation, isn't it, Roy? Yes. So you're covered.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That has been adopted. Any board appointments tonight? Having none, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.